Petroglyph Podcast.
Welcome everybody to our Petroglyph video podcast. Today we have Adam Eisgreen here, our creative director.
Hello.
Who's in charge of Universe at War. And my name is Kevin Yu, your community manager, also known as Stage King. So Adam, could you tell us a little bit about your history with RTS games?
I got into doing real-time strategy games when I joined Westwood Studios in 1995.
Westwood, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So we get a lot of our legacy from,
Right, exactly. My first project I worked on was the Covert Operations expansion for CNC1. From there, I ended up kind of leading the design of, and then kind of even taking a bigger role as we went through the series, from Red Alert through all the expansions, Tiberian Sun, Firestorm, and even into some of the
really great classics, yeah.
Yeah, even into some of the later RTS games, and I, eventually I was the design director on CNC3 when we were working at Data Westwood as well.
Awesome. What is your initial reaction to, hey, here is this game, and you get to create whatever you want out of it? I mean, how do you react to that when Petroglyph came to you and said, design Universe at War?
It's really daunting because you have so much freedom, and the Sega guys have been great. I mean, they were really like, hey, go crazy, we want to see, what you can come up with. Sega's always been a really great company because it always, to me, seemed to really value creativity and really even taking some risks on some games that I think most of their studios would just be like, oh no, I can't even go there. They can get some wild games out of it. But for us, it was really great because it allowed us a lot of freedom to experiment with factions and different abilities and what we wanted to change about the real-time strategy game, what we thought was important and should be brought back. And when Petroglyph first came to this game, we loved to work on it. It was daunting. It's like, wow, I have to think about this because.
So far, from what I've seen, though, it's been pretty good. So.
It's if anyone can say anything about the game, it certainly is creative. The company has been great, and they've been very supportive of me and the designers and actually everybody, the artists and everyone that's worked on the product. Everyone has been really supportive and trying to come up with a game that really does feel like, hey, we're making three completely distinct sides here. Hey, we're going to challenge some of these conventional RTS games that have been established for a long time. We're really going to make a fun multiplayer experience out of it. And so, it's nice to see it coming together because sometimes it's really hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're working on something big.
It is definitely coming together, that's for sure. Especially since we've just announced Novus, and so it's two factions out in the spotlight, and we get to talk about all of them here.
Yep.
Great. So we have some questions for you for Universe at War.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
So what are some of your top goals that you keep in mind in the back of your head when you're actually designing Universe at War?
The biggest goals that we have is to make sure that the factions are distinct. The one thing that we, above everything, was always, that's cool, but is it really distinct from the other factions? So they really play differently. Does the player feel like they literally have to think differently while they're playing this faction over another one? That was probably goal number one. Number two was to keep it fun and understandable, which is difficult sometimes when you're making three completely different factions as well, because you want to make sure that every faction has the ways to gather resources and do this and do that, but they all have to be really fun. And if you've replaced something, for example, like the Hierarchy, who don't have a base, they have these giant war machines that are walking around the battlefield, you have to replace it with something that is equally as fun as a player building a base. And that's kind of where things like the hardpoint system for the Hierarchy evolved from, was a desire to literally keep all of the gameplay mechanics that are fun in real-time strategy games, but in different ways on each faction. The other thing that was really important to us was multiplayer. We wanted to make sure that this game had great multiplayer that would give it long legs. For fans, it was heavily moddable, so they could come up with new, units and abilities, and even whole new scenarios, total conversions from our engine. And we really wanted to make sure, multiplayer was one of those things that from day one I insisted that we get working first. It's actually the first thing we got running in Universe at War was multiplayer, because everyone needed to be able to play this game and understand the units and how they work together.
Sweet. Is there anything you can tell us about the story that leads up to the game right now?
The stories, if you obviously being from Westwood, all of us here really have a passion for telling a good story. And that was very important for us when we were going into making Universe at War as well, is that we wanted to tell you a great story with interesting characters in fun scenarios that would really kind of enrich the world. I'm a big fan of games that create worlds and fiction and backstories, and even if they don't tell me everything, if they give me enough that teases me and makes me feel like, wow, I want to know more about this world, those are the kind of games that I want to play, and those are the kind of games that we make. And so when we approached the story for Universe at War, we thought, okay, well, we've got this alien, faction coming in the hierarchy, coming to stomp the planet and rob it of all its resources, and of course in the way of the humans. We started to really kind of look at a bunch of different, pop culture mythologies and urban legends and things like that were fun and inspiring that we could kind of spin into our hierarchy faction. One of the things, even going back to the Westwood days from Red Alert, we've always loved to make some fantasy into reality. And that's one of the things we really emphasized when we started to come up with the initial faction and some of its units' looks and how it developed. As it progressed from there, well, I don't want to give too much away from the story, but basically all of our factions have had dealings with each other at some point in the past. Not necessarily head-to-head, but there have been actions and reactions that have caused these factions to kind of change and grow in different ways. And now everything's kind of come to a head on Earth as the hierarchy arrives, and then the other forces start to emerge.
In your opinion, how do you think Universe at War will be different than the rest of the RTS games of the year? I mean, obviously, there's tons of RTS games coming out this year.
Yeah, it's the year of the RTS game. I mean, it was dry for years, and then bam, everything's out at once. Some of the things that we really liked that other people have done in real-time strategy games, everyone's been trying to evolve the real-time strategy game genre in different ways. Company of Heroes went very squad-based, very kind of intimate, and a lot of personality on your soldiers, and we really loved that. That was awesome, and that's something that when we were coming around and making our units, we also wanted to kind of imbue into our units, was this sense of really great personality, and you actually care about your units. That's something that really we've emphasized in Universe at War. Fictionally, in the story, we've worked on the Command and Conquer games, and CNC3 is out now, and it's awesome to see video back in, and man, it's just so great. It's so great to see that back in the games, and good storytelling, and fun missions based on the story, and letting the player drive the story was something also that was very important to us. So we took a lot of inspiration from how the CNC games always worked in terms of telling the story and making the player empowered and feel like they're the ones in control of the story and driving things forward, rather than just being told what to do. Total Supreme Commander also had a lot of really fun gameplay in it, and the thing that we all loved about Supreme Commander was back to building bases and actually having a cool construction system and large facilities with weapons and defenses and different counters, and they went a very different direction with the number of units and things like that. Our game was a lot more intimate, but they had a lot of really great ideas and just fun evolution of gameplay that could come from big base-on-base battles and masses of units running around. And we really wanted to capture the excitement and almost the chaos of battle that you would get from a game like Supreme Commander. So we've also taken that a lot into heart when we were making the game, is to make the game as exciting as possible, as dramatic as possible, which I think they really nailed. One of the things that we really loved in some of the other MMOs and stuff like that is the idea that you can kind of further hone your characters into these different kind of specs, so to speak. Using WoW as an example, I can be a rogue and go assassination, subtlety, or combat, and that really does make me play differently at the end of the day from another rogue. Kind of switches my focus, and that's something that we really, really love the idea of, and we really took that to heart when we were making Universe at War. And we've developed a research system that every faction has, and every faction basically has 3 different ways that they can research technologies in the game. And the research that you do isn't just little upgrades like, plus 50% armor, plus 10% this. That's been done to death. What we do is the way you research in Universe at War actually unlocks new powers, new abilities, new weapons, and even gives you new ways to play that side that you might not have considered before because you researched down one tree or another. And the great thing is what this means is even in a mirror match, if I'm playing the hierarchy, I can go completely mutagenic and get all these great radiation powers. I can resurrect, I can mutate dead things into active units for me. I can launch these radiation cascades through the battlefield and just rip up the ground and every structure, just dissolve things in this massive radiating goo. Or I could go completely assault and totally trick out my walkers to do things that can stomp into your base and just totally overpower you rather than sitting back and kind of dealing with radiation and playing a territory control game. So So every faction in our game has this ability to do research down these 3 different vectors. And the great thing is you can't get everything. So you have to really make hard choices and pick what's really important to you and what technologies are really going to make your play style that much better against your opponents. And the nice thing is you can have a mirror match and have 2 sides that play completely differently from each other while you're battling. And that's one thing that we really, really wanted to emphasize and make different. And the nice thing is because we're trying to make a game that's in some ways more forgiving than other real-time strategy games, where you might make an error in your build order 5 minutes into the game, and for the next 20 minutes you've lost, but you just don't know it yet because the results aren't going to play out until everything gets going. And by then it's like, oh, that mistake I made 5 minutes into the game, well, that cost me the game. We have a system of what we call tactical dynamics that allows us to try to circumvent those kind of things, and research is part of that. So while you're playing a game, if you've gone down one research tree and your opponent has gone down a completely different one, you actually do have the chance to still come back and make changes on the fly to your research avenues in order to counter opponent's tactics. You only lose time. So it's really up to the players, and it'll be a nice, fun, back and forth kind of game as things evolve.